The combined human-Sylvan fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the dead solar system. The ancient Sylvan homeworld hung in space, a beautiful corpse. Oceans long, stagnant, continents barren, yet still somehow majestic, but it was not the planet that drew all eyes. It was what orbited it. The Harbinger vessels surrounded the Genesis engine, their shadow ships forming a sphere around the device. The engine itself was massive, a globe composed of interlocking rings that pulsed with blue energy, slowly being pulled into the largest Harbinger vessel. "We've arrived too late," Captain Hayes said, her face grim. "They already have it." "Not yet," Lyrelay replied, her skin battle gold. "They have not yet integrated it with their systems. We still have time." Admiral West appeared on the command screen. "The diversion begins in 5 minutes," she said. Her eyes found Amelia. "Be careful, Harper." "That's an order." The plan unfolded. The main fleet attacked, drawing Harbinger vessels away from the engine. Battles erupted across the system. Space itself seemed to warp and tear as weapons fire and Harbinger energy collided. The diversion worked. Most of the shadow ships moved to engage the threat. On the flagship Amelia Lyrelay, Captain Hayes and the strike team gathered around Nixus. The dragon had recovered from his wounds. His scales gleamed with dark power. His eyes burned like coals. "Direct approach is suicide," Captain Hayes said, her voice steady, her hand on her weapon. "Their numbers are 2. Great Lyreley's skin shifted to a determined gold. "Then we don't approach directly." The plan was desperate. Nixus would use his dimensional abilities to transport the small strike team directly into the Genesis engine itself. "The engine is partially sentient," Lyrelay explained. "It will recognize me as Sylvan royalty," what she didn't say. But Amelia sensed through their growing bond was that interfacing with the engine might kill them both. The device's creators had been consumed by its power. The team armed, themselves humans with modified pulse weapons, Sylvans with living blades that responded to thought. Amelia carried both a pulse rifle and a small Sylvan dagger that Lyrelay had given her as a token of their bond. Nixus extended his wings, enveloping the strike team. The air around them rippled, twisted reality itself, stretched, and suddenly they were inside the engine. The core chamber was cathedral, like vast open space filled with crystalline structures that hummed with power. Blue energy flowed through transparent conduits, spider-webbing the walls, ceiling, and floor. The chamber felt ancient yet somehow alive. Aware of their presence, the Harbingers had already breached the outer defenses. Shadow tendrils reached through the walls, corrupting the blue energy to sickly purple. Where darkness touched crystal, it cracked and dulled. "I need time," Lyrelay said, her voice urgent. She placed her hands on the central crystal, the largest formation in the chamber, a pulsing blue heart of the Genesis engine. The team formed a defensive circle as Harbingers poured into the chamber. They came through walls, through floor, through ceiling, their forms more solid here inside the engine. No longer smoke, but creatures with substance. Their bodies like humanoids made of oil and shadow. Their limbs ending in points sharp as knives, their eyes empty voids. The battle was chaotic, desperate. Human projectile weapons and Sylvan energy blades against creatures that seemed to shift between solid and vapor. Captain Hayes fired with deadly accuracy, each shot finding a vital point, each Harbinger dissolving only to reform elsewhere. The Sylvan warriors moved like dancers, their blades extensions of themselves. They fought with grace and fury, but they were outnumbered. The Harbingers kept coming, wave after wave. One by one, the defenders fell. A human soldier, then a Sylvan, then another, and another. Their bodies withering where shadow touched flesh. Captain Hayes took a wound to her leg, then her arm. She fought on until a tendril pierced her chest. She died still firing her weapon. When only Amelia remained standing, Nixus joined the fight, his massive form creating a last barrier between the Harbingers and Lyrelay. His claws tore through shadow. His wings created shockwaves, pushing enemies back. His very presence seemed to weaken the creatures, as if his ancient power was anathema to them. Lyrelay's skin was now pure white. her essence visibly flowing into the engine. "It's accepting my command," she called out. "But I can't redirect its power while maintaining the interface." Amelia understood what needed to be done. Fighting her way to Lyra Lee's side, she placed her hands alongside the Queen's on the crystal. The pain was immediate and overwhelming. Human physiology was never meant to channel such energies. It felt like fire in her veins, like acid in her mind through their connected minds. Amelia felt Lyra Lee's shock. "You'll die, maybe." Amelia thought back. "But not today." "Sweetie," the Queen's consciousness brushed against hers, warm and intimate. "Yes, darling." And they both laughed even as the engine's power surged through them. The crystal pulsed, changed from blue to golden. The energy flowing through the conduits transformed following suit. A wave of golden light expanded from the central crystal, washing over the chamber. When it receded, the harbingers were gone, not destroyed but transformed. Where shadow entities had stood confused, humanoid figures now looked at their solid hands in wonder. Their bodies no longer black oil but flesh, various colors, various forms, as if the engine had restored them to what they had been before becoming harbingers. "What did you do?" asked one of the surviving Sylvan fighters. Her wounds, healing in the golden. Lightly Relay, weakened but alive, leaned against Amelia. "The engine was built to reshape worlds," she explained. "We reshaped them instead. Returned them to what they were before they became harbingers." Nixes approached the transformed beings, sniffing, cautiously. After a moment, he gave a satisfied rumble. One of the former harbingers stepped forward, its body now solid, its face having features, its eyes no longer void but filled with confusion and wonder. "What have we become?" it asked, its voice rough. "With disuse what you once were," Lyrelai answered. "Before the corruption, before the hunger, you are free." The creature repeated, the word strange on its tongue. "We remember the hunger, the endless consumption, the need to devour." It looked at its hands. "We were not always darkness. You were people," Amelia said. "People who found something powerful. Something that changed you. Something that made you into living entropy. But now you're restored." The being bowed its head. "We have destroyed so much. Can there be forgiveness? That is for many to decide," Lyrelai said. "But today there can be peace." Later, as the human and Sylvan medical teams treated the survivors aboard the flagship, Amelia found herself alone with Lyrelai in the observation deck, watching as the Genesis engine was secured for transport to a safe location. The transformed harbingers had been given quarters. Their leaders were in talks with both human and Sylvan representatives. The future uncertain but full of possibility. "The battle is won," Amelia said. "But so much is lost. 3 star systems devastated, countless lives ended." Lyrelai took her hand. "We will rebuild together." She gestured to the stars stretching before them. "Worlds that would have been consumed now have a future. Your people and mine working as one. The transformed harbingers joining us, perhaps sharing knowledge, healing wounds, creating rather than destroying." Amelia smiled, turning to face the Queen, whose skin now shimmered pleasant blues and pinks. "So what happens now, Your Majesty?" Lyrelai laughed. "You know what happens now," she said. Her fingers intertwined with Amelia's. "We rule together. We rebuild. We create a future, worthy of those who died to give it to us. Your people call this a happy ending," Lyrelai added, her skin shifting through pleasant blues and pinks. Amelia smiled, taking the Queen's hand. "I prefer to think of it as a beginning." Lyrelai's fingers intertwined with hers. "Hey, sweetie," she said, practicing the human phrase, "Yes, darling." Amelia replied, and they both laughed as stars stretched before them, and a new chapter of galactic history began to unfold. Admiral West found them there hours later. She looked tired but satisfied. "The fighting has stopped," she reported. "The remaining Harbinger ships are standing down. Their commanders request asylum. They say they feel a change, some transformation affecting them even at a distance. Is that possible?" Lyrelai nodded. "The engine affects reality at a quantum level," she explained. The changes we made are spreading, rippling outward. Those harbingers who wish to be restored will be those who resist. She shrugged. We will deal with them, but I believe most will choose to remember what they once were. The Admiral looked between them, her eyes, noting their clasped hands. So she said to Amelia, I take it you're not coming back to Earth. Amelia smiled. I will visit, I will help build the alliance, but my place is here now. Admiral West nodded, unsurprised. Then I suppose we'll need a new ambassador, she said, and a lot of cultural exchange programs. She looked out at the stars. A year ago, we thought we were alone in the universe. Now we're allied with elves, fighting shadow monsters, and apparently you're marrying their queen. She shook her head. Amazing how things change, amazing indeed. Lyrelai agreed. When the Admiral left them alone again, Amelia turned to Lyrelai. So when is this royal wedding? The Queen laughed, her skin flushing violet. When the rebuilding is well underway, she said. When our people have homes, and food and safety, then we celebrate, then we make it official. But Amelia... She touched her cheek gently. In my heart it is already done. You became mine the moment you called me sweetie, and you became mine when you called me darling. Amelia replied. Their foreheads touched in the sylvan gesture of deep connection. Behind them, Nixus made his thunder sound. The dragon had adopted a protective stance near the door. His wounds healed, his eyes watchful, The war stretched across 3 star systems. For every victory there was a devastating loss. The Harbingers were not just an enemy. They were a force of nature consuming energy from stars and living beings alike. Entire planets were lost, their surfaces turned to gray ash. 2 months into the conflict, Amelia led a ground team on Helix Prime. The mining colony had become a fortress. But Harbinger forces had breached the outer defenses. Shadow entities moved through the streets, killing everything they touched. Amelia wore Sylvan battle armor, living metal that moved with her body, enhanced by human tech. Her weapon was a pulse rifle modified with Sylvan crystals. She led a mixed squad of humans and Sylvans through the burning city. Their mission was to reach the knowledge repository and secure ancient artifacts before the Harbingers could take them. Captain Morgan Hayes' voice crackled in her ear. Harper, they're converging on your position, at least 20 of them. Get out now. No time, Amelia responded. She gestured to her team. Split up 3 teams. Take different routes to the repository. Well, meet there. The squad divided. Amelia took 4 soldiers with her. 2 humans and 2 Sylvans. They moved through back alleys, avoiding the main streets, where Harbinger forces were strongest. The city was eerily silent. The only sounds were distant explosions and the hum of their weapons. They were 3 blocks from the repository when the attack came. Shadow entities rose from the ground itself. Their forms barely humanoid. Their substance like oil and smoke combined. They made no sound. They simply reached with limbs that ended in points sharp as daggers. The team fired pulse blasts and Sylvan energy bolts tore through the shadows. But more rose to replace them. Amelia saw one of her human soldiers fall, his body withering on contact. She ordered retreat, but they were surrounded. A Sylvan warrior fell, then another. The remaining human soldier stood back to back with Amelia as the shadows closed. And this is it, she thought. This is where I die. Then the air tore open. A dimensional rift appeared and Nixus emerged. The dragon tore through reality itself to reach her. His massive form radiating ancient power. His scales absorbed the darkness. His claws ripped through shadow entities, making them dissipate. His wings created shockwaves, pushing the Harbingers backfight. Amelia shouted to a remaining soldier. They pressed forward, using Nixus as cover. The dragon fought with unexpected ferocity, taking injuries that should have been fatal. Dark energy clung to his scales, burning through to the flesh beneath. Yet he did not stop. He carved a path to the repository. They reached the massive building, its walls inscribed with ancient Sylvan symbols. The doors were sealed. Amelia placed her hand on the recognition panel. The doors recognized her as Queen's Chosen and opened. They rushed inside, Nixus barely fitting through the tall doorway, the doors sealed behind them. The repository was vast. Shelves, stretched to high ceilings filled with crystals and artifacts, Sylvan knowledge preserved for millennia. The center of the great hall held a pedestal. Empty. They're too late. Amelia said, "The artifact is gone." Nixus made his thunder sound, but it was weak. The dragon collapsed to the floor. Dark energy still eating at his wounds, Amelia rushed to him. Her hands touched his scales, trying to brush away the corruption. "Hold on," she whispered. "We'll get help." She activated her communicator. "This is Harper Weave. Secured the repository, but Nixus is down. Repeat. Nixus is down. Need immediate medical evac." The weight felt eternal. Amelia stayed beside the dragon. Her remaining soldiers secured the perimeter. The Harbingers did not breach the doors protected by ancient Sylvan tech, but Amelia could hear them scratching outside trying to find a way in. When the rescue team arrived, Queen Lirelei was with them, her skin ash gray with worry. She rushed to Nixus, her hands glowing with healing energy. She placed them on the dragon's wounds. The darkness receded slowly. The dragon stirred. Later, aboard the flagship, Amelia sat in the royal chambers watching as Lirelei tended to Nixus. The dragon rested on a platform specially designed for him. His wounds were healing, but slowly he should not have survived, the queen said quietly. Those wounds would have killed any other being. The Harbingers. Corruption is usually fatal. Nixus is strong. Amelia said. He saved my life. Lirelei turned to her. There is something you should know, something I have kept from you. She sat beside Amelia, her skin rippling with nervous colors. Nixus isn't my pet. He isn't even just my guardian. He is my ancestor. Amelia stared at the queen. Your ancestor, Lirelei nodded. The first Sylvan to encounter the Harbingers. He transformed himself into this form to better fight them. He is the last pure-blooded ancient Sylvan. The rest of us are descended from those who fled, those who chose survival over fighting. Amelia's hand froze above Nixus, injured. Winghez Sylvan was Lirelei, corrected. Now he is something else. The last of his kind. The living memory of a subspecies the Harbingers eliminated long ago. The dragon opened his eyes, meeting Amelia's gaze. She felt a brush of consciousness against her, own clear and direct. Not the last anymore, came the thought, startlingly clear. You carry my battle knowledge now. If I fall, something of my kind lives on in you. Amelia reached out, touching the dragon's head gently. I won't let you fall. She promised that night as the Allied fleet regrouped. Amelia reviewed the battle data from all engagements so far. She noticed a pattern. The Harbingers weren't just attacking. They were searching for something. All their major offensives converged toward specific coordinates. She brought her findings to Lirelei. The queen studied the star map Amelia's analysis had created. Her skin turned ash gray. That is the location of our ancestral homeworld, she whispered. A planet we abandoned millennia ago. When its core became unstable, what would they want there? Amelia asked. Nix's eyes projected a star chart zooming in on a seemingly empty sector of space. But as the image enhanced, they saw it. A massive structure hidden in the stellar debris around the dead planet. The Genesis engine, Lirelei breathed. The device our ancestors built to reshape worlds, we thought it was destroyed. Amelia understood immediately. If the Harbingers get that technology, they won't just consume worlds. Lirelei finished. They'll be able to create them feeding grounds designed specifically for their needs. She turned to Amelia, her silver eyes intense. We must go there. We must reach the engine before they do. Amelia nodded. But the main Harbinger fleet protects it. How do we get past them? The queen looked at Nixus. The dragon made his thunder sound, projecting a complex series of images. Battle plans began to form in Amelia's mind. A diversion. The main fleet would engage the Harbingers, drawing them away. A small team would slip through, using Nixus' dimensional abilities. It's risky, Amelia said. If we're caught, we die. Lirelei said simply, and all worlds fall to darkness. They brought the plan to Admiral West. The human leader listened, her face growing more grave with each detail. She stood, looking at the projections of the Genesis engine. "This is a suicide mission," she said finally. Lyreley nodded. "It may be, but what alternative do we have?" The Admiral turned to Amelia. "You realize you'll be going, of course." Amelia replied, "I carry Nixus knowledge. I understand the engine better than any human." Admiral West sighed heavily. "I don't like it, but I see no other option." She faced the Queen. "If Harper is going, I want our best with her. Captain Hayes will join your strike team with 4 of our elite soldiers." The plan was set. The main fleet would create a diversion attacking the Harbinger forces directly. While they were engaged, Nixus would use his dimensional abilities to transport a small strike team directly into the Genesis engine itself. Amelia, Lyreley, Captain Hayes, 4 human soldiers, and 5 elite Sylvan warriors would make the journey. The mission was simple, yet nearly impossible. Reach the engine. Prevent the Harbingers from claiming it. Destroy it if necessary. The night before the mission, Amelia could not sleep. She stood in the observation dome watching the dead planet that had once been the Sylvan homeworld. It looked peaceful from a distance, a world of blue oceans and green continents, but she knew it was lifeless, its core unstable. Its surface irradiated. Lyreley found her there. The Queen's skin was calm blue tinged with gold determination. "I thought you would be resting," she said. Amelia smiled ruefully. "Too nervous, I guess." The Queen moved beside her. Their shoulders touched lightly. "Do you fear death? Only failure?" Amelia answered honestly. Lyreley turned to her, silver eyes reflecting starlight. "If we succeed tomorrow, what will you do? Will you return to Earth?" The question caught Amelia by surprise. She hadn't thought beyond survival, beyond the next battle. She looked at the Queen, whose skin now shimmered with hints of violet. "I don't know," she admitted. "Where would you have me go?" Lyreley took her hand. "Stay with me," she said softly. "Be my Queen consort. Help me rebuild." "When this is over," Amelia's heart raced. "Is that what sweetie means in your language?" "Queen consort," Lyreley laughed, her skin flushing full violet now. "It means beloved, one who is chosen by heart, not duty. But yes, being my sweetie means you would rule beside me if you wish it." Amelia stepped closer, their bodies nearly touching. "I wish it," she whispered. Their foreheads touched in the Sylvan gesture of deep connection. "Then we have even more reason to survive tomorrow, darling." Lyreley murmured. They stayed that way for a long time, watching the stars together, the dead world below them, and somewhere out there the Genesis engine waiting to be claimed. And the Harbingers moving ever closer to their goal. Morning would bring battle. Night brought only this moment of peace, this connection, this promise of a future that might never come, but it was enough to give them hope. And hope was what they needed most. The emergency Earth Council meeting was tense. Amelia stood as a hologram in the center of the Earth's grand chamber projected from Lyreley's war room. Admiral Kimberly West glared at her from the head of the table. The Admiral's reputation for caution was legendary, but now it threatened everything. "It's a trap," the Admiral insisted. "The moment we send our fleet to help these elves, they'll turn on us. We know nothing about them except what they've chosen to show Harper. You've been compromised." Amelia kept her face neutral despite the accusation. "If the Harbingers consume the Sylvan worlds, Earth is next. We have weeks, not months, to prepare. I have transmitted all the data. Our scientists confirm it." From behind her, Olivia nodded. Her friend had arrived 3 days ago on a fast scout ship bringing Earth scientists and military advisors. They now stood behind Amelia, lending silent support. Admiral West was unmoved. "The Sylvans have technology centuries beyond ours. If these Harbingers are so dangerous, why can't they fight them themselves? Why do they need us?" Before Amelia could answer, Queen Lyreley stepped into view beside her. The Earth Council members stirred in surprise. They had never seen the Sylvan Queen except in still images. Her beauty, her alienness was more striking in motion. Her skin shifted colors with her emotions currently a determined gold. Without warning, Nixus materialized through a dimensional pocket, his massive form appearing beside the women. Gasps echoed from the earth. Officials. Some reached for weapons before remembering this was only a holographic projection. My dragon has shared our war knowledge with your Amelia Lyrelai announced. This has never been done with an outsider in 10,000 years. We offer and exchange our technology for your strategy. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. The Sylvans were offering faster-than-light travel, living technology, weapons that could change the course of human history. Admiral West leaned forward. The cost survival Lyrelai answered simply, "The Harbingers will not stop with us. Once they taste victory, they will come for you next. They consume all life, all energy, all possibility. They are entropy, given form. We have run from them for millennia. Now we choose to stand with you beside us." The council debated for hours, but in the end, survival won out. The alliance was approved. Earth would send its fleet. The Sylvans would share their technology. A combined force would meet the Harbingers at the edge of Sylvan space. The integration of forces proved challenging. The Sylvan warriors, with their bioengineered bodies and telepathic bonds, struggled to coordinate with human tactical teams. Earth's weapons seemed primitive to the Sylvans, who fought with living armor and psychic blades. Cultural misunderstandings led to fights. Training exercises ended in frustration. It was Nixus who bridged the gap. The dragon selected 50 human officers and 50 Sylvan commanders, marking each with a scale-like emblem that allowed them to share thoughts across species. Leading this elite force was Amelia, whose mind now carried both human intuition and Sylvan battle sense. They gathered on the flagship, a massive Sylvan vessel enhanced with human weaponry. Amelia walked the decks, watching humans and Sylvans working side by side. The sight filled her with hope. Though tension remained, progress was being made. The combined fleet grew stronger each day. One evening, Amelia found Lyrelai in the observation dome. The Queen was watching the stars, her skin a thoughtful blue. Nixus curled nearby, appearing to sleep, though Amelia knew better. The dragon was always aware. "You should rest," Amelia said. The Queen had been working non-stop for days. Lyrelai turned, her silver eyes reflecting starlight. "There is no time for rest. The Harbingers have increased speed. They will reach the outer colony in 2 days. Amelia moved closer. "So our first battle comes sooner than expected." The Queen nodded. "Our scouts report they sent an advance force smaller than we anticipated. Perhaps they test our defenses." She hesitated. "Something troubles me. They changed their approach vector. They head directly for the mining colony on Helix Prime. It's resource-rich," Amelia suggested a logical target. Lyrelai shook her head. "They never cared about resources before. They consume energy. Life force, not minerals." She turned to Amelia. "You should know something. The mining colony. It is where we store our most ancient artifacts, our history, our knowledge." Amelia understood immediately. "It's a knowledge raid. They want information about your people." The Queen nodded. "Or something specific, something they believe we possess." She touched a control and a star map appeared. "They attack. Here, here, and here, all knowledge repositories, all ancient sites." "What are they looking for?" Nixus stirred, his eyes opening. The dragon projected images, ancient carvings, showing a device. A sphere composed of interlocking rings. "The Genesis engine," Lyrelai whispered, her skin paled to almost white. "What is it?" Amelia asked. "A device our ancestors built to reshape worlds," the Queen explained. "Legend says it could create life itself, transform barren planets into paradise." The price was too high. The engine consumed its operators. "We abandoned it millennia ago when we left our home world. But if the Harbingers found it," Amelia began, "they would become creators, as well as destroyers." Lyrelai finished. "The thought is unbearable." An alarm sounded, breaking the moment. A communications officer appeared. Her skin flashed urgent red patterns. "Your Majesty, the Harbingers have changed course again." They will reach Helix Prime in 6 hours, not 2 days. Lyra Lay straightened her skin, shifting to battle gold. Move now, she ordered. Alert all ships, we defend Helix Prime. The next hours were chaos. Ships launched, preparations accelerated, weapons were charged, battle plans finalized. Amelia worked alongside Lyra Lay, coordinating the human contingent. Captain Morgan Hayes, her second in command, managed the Earth vessels. The fleet moved as one toward Helix Prime. As they dropped out of faster-than-light travel, the horror awaited them. The Harbingers were not ships, as humans understood them. They were living. Darkness areas where space itself seemed wounded. Black masses that absorbed light. They moved like liquid smoke, sometimes solid, sometimes vapor. Their very presence made instruments malfunction, and minds cloud, with dread. 57 of them surrounded the small mining colony, their darkness blotting out the stars. The combined fleet numbered 138 vessels. It should have been enough. It wasn't. The battle began with energy weapons, Sylvan living missiles, human nuclear charges. The Harbingers absorbed most attacks, letting the energy feed them. When they struck back, it was with tendrils of pure darkness that phased through shields and hulls alike. Where they touched, they left decay. Ships failing, life forms withering. Amelia stood on the command deck beside Lyra Lay, watching the battle unfold. It was not going well. They were losing too many ships too quickly. We need a new approach, Amelia said. Our weapons feed them. Lyra Lay nodded. Her skin had turned battle red, the color of determination and rage. We must use the bond, she said. She turned to the 50 bonded commanders, both human and Sylvan, each marked with Nixus scale, link minds, she ordered. Form the battle meld. Amelia felt the connection open in her mind. The thoughts of 50 humans and 50 Sylvans joined together, guided by Nixus' ancient battle knowledge. They became one mind, with one purpose. The ships moved in new patterns, no longer attacking individually, but as cells in a larger organism. Some sacrificed themselves to position others. Humans provided unpredictable tactics. Sylvans provided psychic attacks that the Harbingers could not absorb. Slowly the tide turned. The Harbingers began to retreat from the colony, not defeated but contained for nows. The advance force withdrew. Amelia and Lyra Lay stood side by side on the command deck, watching the stars return as the darkness receded. If we fall here, Lyra Lay said softly, know that my people will remember yours with honor. We will name stars after your heroes. Amelia took her hand, feeling the warmth of the Queen's skin against hers. We're not falling today, sweetie. Lyra Lay blushed violet again. Yes, darling. And they both laughed before giving the order to secure the colony and prepare for the next wave. They had won the first battle, but the war had only just begun. 6 months passed since first contact. Amelia now lived in the Sylvan Palace in chambers next to Queen Lyra Lay. The diplomatic mission had changed her in ways she never expected. Her skin had taken on a slight shimmer from the local food. Her eyes had adjusted to the purple light of the 3 moons. She understood Sylvan customs better now, including what her accidental sweetie comment had meant. The Sylvan people had accepted her with curiosity and caution. They called her the Queen's Chosen One. They bowed when she passed. They brought her gifts of glowing flowers and strange fruits. Yet Amelia sensed undercurrents of worry among the court. Something was wrong. One night she woke to find Nixus in her room. The dragon stood at the foot of her bed, his scales drinking the moonlight. His red eyes glowed in the darkness. Amelia sat up slowly, not afraid but puzzled. The dragon had become almost a friend in recent months, but he had never entered her private chambers before. Nixus made a soft clicking sound. Then he turned and walked to the door. His intention was clear. Follow me. Amelia slipped on a robe, a beautiful sylvan garment that changed colors with her mood. Currently it shimmered dark blue with confusion. She followed Nixus through silent corridors deep into parts of the palace she had never seen. Before long she realized they were going down. Beneath the palace itself, the passages grew older, Carved stone replaced the living walls. The air became cool and damp with Age Nixus led her to an ancient door covered in symbols she could not read. The dragon pressed his head against it, and the door swung open. Inside was a communication center, but unlike the elegant Sylvan technology Amelia had seen before, this was older, more primitive, yet still far beyond human capabilities. Screens showed star maps. Symbols flashed red and urgent. Queen Lyrale stood at the center. Her skin was pale, almost white with fear. When she saw Amelia, she did not seem surprised. It was time for you to know. She said, "Know what?" Amelia asked. "The truth," the Queen said. "Why we contacted Earth. Why we need you." She gestured at the largest screen. It showed a dark mass moving through space. Not ships exactly, but something alive. Something vast, something hungry. They call themselves the Void Harbingers, Lyrale explained. They have hunted my people across the stars for thousands of years. We flee. They follow. We hide. They find. We build. They destroy. This cycle has continued since before my ancestors kept records. Amelia stared at the screen. The mass was moving toward Sylvan space, toward the planet they stood on. How long? She asked. 6 standard months at most, the Queen answered. Her hand found Amelia's and squeezed. Perhaps less. Why tell me this now? Amelia asked. Because I can no longer hide it from you, Lyrale said. And because your people fight differently than mine. We need that now. The Queen touched a control, and a new image appeared on the screen. It showed Earth. Amelia caught her breath. The Harbingers would go there next. I need to warn my people, Amelia said urgently. Lyrale nodded. I have prepared a secure channel for you. But there is something else you should see first. The Queen led Amelia deeper into the ancient complex. Nixus followed silently. They entered a vast chamber. The walls were covered with carvings, ancient beyond imagining. They showed Sylvan people fighting shadow creatures. They showed worlds burning. They showed a time when the Sylvans had been a warrior race, not the peaceful beings they appeared now. My people have grown soft. Lyrale said, We have run for so long, we have forgotten how to stand and fight. But once we were mighty. She placed her hand on a carving that showed a Sylvan warrior riding a dragon. Our ancestors bonded with creatures like Nixus. They fought as one. They had a strength we have lost. The dragon made his thunder sound. He approached Amelia, his red eyes fixed on hers. Then he did something unexpected. He bowed his great head and touched his forehead to hers. Amelia's mind exploded with images, battle plans, weapon design, strategy, and tactics spanning centuries. Nixus was sharing knowledge stored in his ancient mind. It overwhelmed her. She would have fallen if Lyrale had not caught her. He has chosen you, the Queen whispered. Her skin flushed violet with emotion. Just as I have when Amelia returned to her chambers hours later, her head still spinning with dragon knowledge, she found a secure communication device waiting. As chief xenolinguist, she had authorization to contact Earth directly. She sent a coded message to her colleague, Olivia Reeves. Olivia's face appeared on the screen, tired but alert. Amelia, she said, we've been worried your reports have been growing less frequent. There is reason for concern, Amelia admitted. Then she explained everything. The Harbingers, the ancient war, the coming threat. Olivia listened, her expression growing more serious. I have information too, she said finally. Something we discovered but haven't shared with the Sylvans yet. She transmitted encrypted files showing massive energy signatures moving through space. They're the same signatures you described. But Amelia, they aren't just approaching Sylvan space, they're accelerating. Whatever they're afraid of. It's coming sooner than your queen thinks. Amelia felt cold fear in her stomach. How soon based on these readings, Olivia said. 2 months, maybe less. The Artemis has orders to evacuate you immediately. Amelia shook her head not leaving. Olivia looked shocked. But Amelia, the Sylvans need us. Amelia said firmly. And we need them. This isn't just their fight anymore. Send these files to Earth. Command with my recommendation for immediate military alliance. I'll work from this. And after ending the call, Amelia found Nixus waiting outside her door. The dragon had become her shadow since sharing his knowledge. She reached out and touched his scales, feeling the ancient power beneath. "Remember when we first met?" she asked, "and you decided if I would live or die." The dragon made a sound almost like a purr. "Now we're deciding if everyone lives or dies." Amelia said softly, "Help me convince your queen that we must fight together." Nixus led her to Lyrale's private chambers. The queen was standing on her balcony looking at the stars. Her skin was pale blue with sadness. "You know," Lyrale said without turning, "the harbingers are coming faster than I told you." Amelia stood beside her. "My people have detected them too. We have 2 months. Not 6. Lyrale turned to her. "Those energy readings. Your ship's technology is impressive. We've been watching the skies for threats for centuries," Amelia explained. "We're paranoid that way." She took the queen's hands. "Lyrale, your people have been running. For thousands of years, mine have been preparing for war that never came. We built weapons, we created strategies, we trained soldiers, all waiting for an enemy that never appeared until now." The queen looked doubtful. "Your technology is primitive compared to ours, but our will to fight is strong," Amelia countered. "And with Nixus sharing your ancient battle knowledge with me, we can combine our strengths. The dragon has already shown me designs for weapons that merge our technologies." Lyrale looked at Nixus. The dragon made his thunder sound and projected images from his eyes showing battle plans, vessels combining Sylvan living technology with human weapons systems, strategies using both species' strengths. The queen watched in silence. Then her skin shifted to gold, the color of determination. "You are right," she said. "We have run long enough. Together we will make our stand." She pulled Amelia close. Their foreheads touched in the Sylvan gesture of deep connection. "I am glad you came to us, sweetie," Lyrale whispered. Amelia smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with diplomacy, and everything to do with the violet flush spreading across the queen's skin. "Yes, darling," she replied. And they both laughed, even as the shadow of the harbingers grew closer somewhere among the stars. Amelia Harper stood by the viewing window of the starship Artemis, her eyes fixed on the strange planet below. The swirling purple clouds and floating islands made her heart beat faster. This was it. First contact with the Sylvan Dominion as chief. Xenolinguist Amelia had spent 5 years studying the alien language intercepted from deep space signals. No human had ever seen a Sylvan, but today that would change. She smoothed her uniform and checked her translator device one last time. "Captain." Ellis approached her. Captain Ellis was a tall woman with short blonde hair and eyes that missed nothing. "Are you ready?" she asked. "The shuttle leaves in 10 minutes. Amelia nodded, but words failed her. The weight of representing humanity pressed on her shoulders. The message had been clear. "Come alone. We have been watching." This request had caused much debate among the crew. Many thought it was a trap, but Amelia had argued in favor of trust, and now here she was about to make history. The shuttle ride was bumpy. The alien atmosphere created strange currents that tossed the small craft. Amelia gripped her seat and tried to stay calm. When they finally broke through the clouds, she gasped. The Sylvan city stretched before her like something from a dream. Tall spires of crystal rose from floating islands connected by bridges that seemed made of light. Plants that moved like animals wrapped around buildings. Trees with silver leaves reached toward 3 small moons visible even in daylight. The shuttle landed on a platform attached to the largest structure. A palace, perhaps, or a government building. The doors opened, and Amelia took her first breath of alien air. It smelled like cinnamon and rain. A group of figures waited at the end of the platform. They were tall, much taller than humans. Their skin glowed with colors that shifted like oil on water. They had pointed ears that moved independently and eyes like liquid silver. Their bodies were thin but strong-looking, covered in robes that seemed to flow like water. Amelia walked forward slowly, carefully. She had practiced the Sylvan greeting 1,000 times. She stopped at the proper distance and made the gesture of peace, hands open, palms forward, then crossed at the wrists. The tallest Sylvan stepped forward. This one wore a crown of twisted metal that caught the light. Her skin shimmered with blues and purples. Her silver eyes studied Amelia with open curiosity. "I am Queen Lyra Lai of the 7th House, ruler of the Sylvan Dominion," the alien said in perfect English. Her voice was musical with strange harmonies beneath the words. Amelia blinked in surprise. They knew English. The Queen must have seen her confusion. "We have been studying your transmissions for decades," the Queen explained. "We find your species fascinating." Amelia gathered her thoughts. "I am Amelia Harper of Earth." She said, "I come in peace and friendship." The Queen gestured toward the palace entrance. "Come, human." "Harper, there is much to discuss." They walked through halls that seemed to be grown rather than built. Living walls pulsed with soft light. Sylvan attendants bowed as they passed, their skin colors changing from blue to green at the sight of Amelia. Some whispered behind their hands. Some stared, openly. The throne room took Amalia's breath away. The ceiling opened to the sky. The floor was clear, showing clouds moving below them. The throne itself was a living thing, a chair that grew from the floor covered in luminescent flowers, but it was not the throne that made Amelia stop in her tracks. It was the creature coiled around it, a dragon, or something like a dragon. Its body was long and serpentine, covered in scales that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Its eyes were deep red, like coals in a fire. It lifted its head as they entered, regarding Amelia with unsettling intelligence. "This is Nixus," the Queen said, her hand stroking the creature's head. "He chooses who lives and who dies in my court." The dragon made a sound like distant thunder. It uncurled itself and slithered closer to Amelia. Its head was larger than her torso. Its teeth, when it opened its mouth, were curved like daggers. Amelia stood very still. She had not expected this. There had been no mention of dragons in any of the intercepted communications. The creature circled her once, twice. It sniffed at her legs, her back, her hair. Then it made that thunder sound again and returned to the throne. "You pass," said Queen Lyra Lai. Her skin rippled with what might have been amusement. "Had Nixus not approved, you would already be dead." Amelia swallowed hard and followed the Queen to a small sitting area near the throne. The furniture was grown from the floor like everything else, but shaped to accommodate human proportions. They had prepared for her visit. They spoke of many things: trade possibilities, cultural exchange, scientific cooperation. The Queen was intelligent and curious, asking as many questions as she answered. She wanted to know about Earth, about human customs, about Amelia herself. Hours passed. The formal meeting became more relaxed. Amelia found herself enjoying the Queen's company, despite the intimidating presence of Nixus, who watched everything with those burning eyes. Then came the mistake. Amelia was explaining human relationships and the concept of endearments. She meant to give examples, but the translator malfunctioned, or perhaps she misspoke. "Hey, sweetie," she said to the Queen. The room went silent. All the Sylvan attendants froze. The dragon, Nixus, unfurled its wings, shadows spilling across the floor. Amelia realized she had made a terrible error, though what exactly she did not know. She opened her mouth to apologize, but before she could speak, something unexpected happened. The Queen's skin flushed a deep violet color. Her silver eyes widened. She looked almost shy. "Yes, darling," the Queen replied, her voice soft. Then incredibly, they both laughed. The sound broke the tension. Amelia from relief and confusion, the Queen from what seemed like genuine amusement. The court remained silent. The guards exchanged worried glances. The dragon made that thunder sound again, but it seemed different somehow, almost like laughter itself. The meeting continued, but something had changed. The Queen leaned closer when she spoke. Her colors stayed warm, violet and pink. Her eyes lingered on Amelia's face. When it was time for Amelia to return to the Artemis, the Queen walked with her to the shuttle. "You will return tomorrow," she said. It was not a question. Amelia nodded. "Of course, Your Majesty." The Queen touched Amelia's arm briefly. Her skin was warm like sunlight. "I prefer sweetie," she said quietly. Then she turned and walked away, her robes flowing behind her, the dragon following like a shadow, back on the Artemis. Amelia reported to Captain Ellis. She described the city, the palace, the discussions about potential alliance. She mentioned the dragon, though words failed to capture the creature's otherworldly presence. She did not mention the sweetie incident. It felt too personal, too strange. That night Amelia could not sleep. She stood at the viewing window watching the planet below. Something had happened today. Something important. She just wasn't sure what. Little did she know that in Sylvan culture, such an exchange was considered a formal declaration of mutual interest, and the Queen had just publicly accepted it. Amelia Harper had come to make first contact. Instead, she had accidentally proposed to an alien queen, and the Queen had said yes.